Hey guys, welcome to episode 2, where we're going to be talking about our spiritual practice, making time for that. And just as a reminder, this is the return to self, the exploring the depths of our human experience. And we're so excited to continue to make these podcasts. So as you know, or maybe don't know, we just kind of come in and say, what do we want to talk about today? And it can be something that's either weighing heavy on us throughout the week or something that just comes to us. And just in our conversation this morning, Lauren's like, hey, why don't we talk about that? And what came up was just, we have our busy lives where we have our structured routine for work, our structured routine maybe with our kids or our cleaning, but something that a lot of us lack, and I'll speak for myself, I do a good job sometimes, but when life gets busy, my spiritual practice kind of can get put on the back burner. And we were just talking about how much better we feel when we're on board with our spiritual practice. It just makes all of the other things that we go through in life feel less heavy. And
I want to very gently preface this phrase of spiritual practice, because what do we mean by that? Yeah. Well, for some people, it might look like praying. It might look like, reading the Bible every morning or something like that. But I want to very loosely use that intermittently with self-care and self-care practice, because we are beings in a human body, but the greater part of us, our soul, is non-physical. So we taking care of ourselves in our human experience and making time to drop in to ourselves and ask ourselves, how am I doing today? Mm-hmm. How am I feeling? Am I honoring myself in my daily life? It's really about, taking that time to reflect and go within and have a moment for yourself.
Yeah, and that can look like, for me, I think, I said spiritual practice, but it could be a mindfulness practice, just being conscious and aware of what are your hopes and dreams? What do you want the outcome of the day to look like? And taking just any moment to say a prayer, if that's how you connect, or just to speak with yourself one-on-one, like, hey, I really just want to have a good day today. I know that there are a lot of things on my agenda and I would really like to feel peaceful about it. And just thinking those things, mindful and aware that that's how you prefer your day to go, like in the morning, can really just set up the tone for the day, and it can look very different. If you wake up hectic and you're running around, the tone of the day can end up looking, like where you don't want it to look like, what you don't prefer. And so...
like chaos.
Yeah.
Right? And you never really feel caught up. You feel like you're running all day, like you're exhausted, and by the time you get home, you're like, I'm worn out. I'm probably a little frustrated, a little frazzled. I probably don't want to talk to anybody by this time. So it's really about acknowledging that momentum and getting ahead of it before it gets started, right? Mm-hmm. And really being intentional about setting the tone of the day, whatever that might be, whether that's setting an intention. But at any point in the day, anybody can take 5, right?
Like, you took the words from me. I was going to say, if you don't do it in the morning and you just find yourself frazzled, if you have some sort of practice in place, some sort of mindful self-care, spiritual practice already set in place, you're just like, I need me time for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Find a way to take that, and it's almost like a reset.
Yeah, and I'll share with you, for me personally, I grew up in a house and I was always outwardly focused, okay? We're very much in this experience geared towards pleasing others and what everybody else expects, and I'm running everywhere else. But for me, I had to start training, I'm gonna use that word, training myself to stop, go within, close my eyes. I would even close my eyes at this point because it cuts off the awareness of everybody else. And then just check in with myself. How am I doing today? How am I feeling? How are things going? And then take some reset breaths and then move. How do I want to change? Do I want to change my experience right now? Do I want to change how I'm moving in the world? Okay, what do I want that to look like? And then that's changing your state. That's what you're doing in that moment.
And that's exactly what mindfulness is. That's what conscious awareness is. It's noticing in a moment that you're not maybe doing okay, or you're not feeling how you'd prefer to feel. And so you do a check-in, like, wow, for me personally, it was very similar thoughts. I would just be like, whoa, okay, this is not how I envision the scenario in my life to play out. I just want it to be different. And I would have kind of this conversation. Well, what would you rather it look like? Well, I would rather, this moment be more peaceful. I'd rather be more calm about it. And then and the other part of the conversation would be like, well, then try again. Let's just calmly redo that scenario. So for me, like, let's say you're making dinner and your kids are running around and there's just a lot of, chaos going on and a lot of moving parts. My anxious brain will try to start getting ahead of itself. And I noticed that when I would just be like, well, hey, we just want to calmly be in this moment. You're making dinner, your kids are running around. Reframe it. Reframe it as like, this is like a moment in my life that is precious. And you want to go about it calmly? Do that. And so you can reset, reframe the situation. And it's just conscious, mindful awareness. But what I think is super important is as I started doing that in those moments, and you probably felt this too, is it does feel good to get a handle on it before those moments kick in. And so part of what I mean by starting a practice is encouraging not just viewers or you, but myself to put in place what I know works for me, and just trying my best to meet those goals, and then just seeing how different your days, your weeks, your months play out when you're able to put that mindful practice before you find yourself in the chaos. Now, like if you're in it, it's okay to reset, and it's encouraged, right? Reset. But when you start, it's like almost like you're doing a workout. You're not going to go eat a bunch of pasta and bread and then be like, oh, I should go work out now. You have this workout routine in place. You're mindful about it so that you see change. It's the same thing with mindful practice. And I want to move that into spiritual practice because for most, for myself, there is a spiritual aspect when we are dealing with the self. And it doesn't necessarily have to mean a spirit that's outward. It can be your envision of God. It can be your envision of a higher self. It can just be your envision of what you know is a higher power that's out there. And when we are practicing mindfulness, both hemispheres of the brain are now coherent, and you're able to kind of feel into that spiritual realm a little better. And you can kind of feel those messages from, or let's say your conscious speaks to you, so you can feel that from the other side come to you. And sometimes the divine guidance, whether it is your own thoughts because you've slowed down enough to hear them, or it's coming from somewhere else, is truly helpful throughout your days. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like when we can be in a state of awareness and presence. See, the mind always wants to go to past or future. That's the game that the mind plays. And so when we can be in the state of presence, in this now moment, and almost kind of, that state that you get into when you're just on autopilot. Like, let's take driving for an instance. Like, you're aware, you're there, you're paying attention, but you're not really
hyper-focused.
Right. Yeah. You're kind of in that.
You're not like thinking to yourself, let me put on my blinker, let me make a left turn. Your autopilot knows you're going to put on your blinker, you're going to check.
But you're not having in this flow state of relaxed, ease. And that's when things can come in, when
I've gotten a ton of things when I'm driving.
Yeah, right? Or the shower is another one.
Yeah, and that just shows when you're in that quiet moment where there's not too much distraction or the thoughts of the future, of the past, taking over. That present moment is beautiful. And what did I seen a quote the other day about, our minds invent the future, and our minds can only remember the past. You can't physically actually go back to the past, and you can't go to the future. So our mind is the only thing, a thought is the only thing that can create that past and that future. We only have this present moment. The only real tangible moment is this exact moment we're in right now. And so being mindful of that sometimes can just stop everything. And that goes back to my example of the dinner routine with the kids. My mind was already like, I have to get the kids to bed, and I've got to do showers, and I've got to do all these things. But if I just rewind all that back, because that future is not even there yet, and just be in that present moment, you can truly appreciate what it is that you're doing and feel the closeness of that moment with your family and appreciate whatever the things that are going on. And that can be in so many moments.
And I think that is really the beauty. You just hit it on the head. It's being appreciative for this moment, in this now moment, for whatever that is, and you use the phrase, making dinner with your family.
But can be so many things.
When your mind is quiet, you can look at your family and be like, wow, look how beautiful.
What are they actually doing? Look, they're running around playing with toys that you've been able to give them. They're having a good time. They're in their own imaginative world. And
I'm so thankful that we can have this dinner and that we have food to be able to share together.
And then you start appreciating, well, wow, this food's really good. I appreciate myself for being able to prepare this nutritional meal for my family. You're just in the present moment of what you're actually doing and the energy of what you're feeling around you. Because if you're in the energy of, well, I've got all these other things to do, you're in an anxious energy, and you are definitely not soaking up the present moment in an anxious energy. So,
and I think these mindful moments, that's what I like to call them, mindful moments, can really just help bring us back to ourselves. And, right now, the world and the state that everything's in and the chaos outside, I feel like it's more important now than ever, to just find that stillness and that place within yourself where you can come home to yourself and feel safety.
I'm so glad.
Inner safety.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
Because the state of the world that we're in is just chaos. And I remember driving. So then we'll go back to that. I was just driving and I was just having thoughts of how can so much bad be going on? And here I am creating this wellness center. So I know there are people like myself out here that we want better. We want to see the world in a good place. And I was just quiet. And the message or the thoughts that I had after that were the way that we can repair the chaos is by continuing to shine our light. So there's nothing you can do to physically go out and stop said chaos, but by continuing to be mindful, to show up for yourself, you are showing up for others, and that light will expand to other people, and you can grow a peaceful community just by staying in your practice, staying in your spiritual practice for yourself. And each person can be mindful and stay in their spiritual practice for their self or mindfulness practice, then we are all creating a small ripple that will and can take over this chaos that we all see. So if you ever feel like you're in a moment where you want to fix something and you can't, I know this sounds cliche, but start with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Start with yourself and you will see the ripple effect.
So we don't make change by pushing against. That actually creates more resistance. We make change by holding our own frequency in stability and love and care and guidance and all those beautiful, wonderful things and spreading that vibration out. That's how we expand, and that's how we, ultimately create change. So I just encourage everybody to find those mindful moments and find that stillness within yourself. And we here at Massage Journey are moving into creating classes where you can come be a part of something together, where we will hold that peace, hold that space for you to, for us together, right? Because we're powerful together.
Well, the classes will give a chance for people to start a mindfulness practice. And I know that things in the world are so expensive today, but these classes are truly low cost and they're affordable. And when you're talking about your mental health and your inner peace, you can't really put a price on it. I think what's really truly one of the most amazing things that comes out of joining a class type scenario is two parts. There's the part that you get in yourself when you are being able to be mindful and feel those deep breaths and feel the energy of peace come in. But then you have this community of people around you that are also wanting that same thing, and it just expands that feeling just a little more.
Yeah.
And so joining, yoga classes, breathwork classes, anything to help start a routine for you to stay mindful is super helpful, and that we do offer that here.
And really, I just want to say, in the year of the fire horse and what we're moving into here in 2026, there's going to be a lot of reactivity, right? A lot of reaction going on. And so we're holding a space for contemplation and reflection so that you can be responsive, right? Intelligently responsive, but not reactive. It's a place of neutrality, right? And love and acceptance, and moving into holding that space. For me, as the 9D practitioner and breathwork practitioner, I'm really looking to hold a space for those, allowing everyone to feel and experience their body and their emotions, and allowing all of that to be in a place of, held in a place of surrender, and just allowing it to be. And that's okay.
And doing those practices, whether you do some by yourself at home, or you find an online community, or you come in person and experience those practices, it forces you into the present moment, but not in like I know the word force is so heavy. It's like you have no choice but to be present in the moment, and it's actually a beautiful place to be. And what I found is the more that I'm able to come back to that present moment, the more that I prefer to be there, because being in the anxious thoughts or in the thoughts of the past of what you could have, should have done, it just doesn't create good feelings in the body and the mind. But what I'd like to talk about before we wrap up, so we have a shorter session today, is encouraging everyone to set their own practice. So for me, I'm going to tell you what I know works for me, and what I'm going to this week specifically, just to start over, because I myself have fallen away from my practice, and that's kind of how this conversation came up, because I said I want to be more in tune with my spiritual practice. And for me, that looks like meditation. And so what I'll do is I'll take my headphones, I put them in, I put on some very deep ethereal music or binaural beats, which are free on Spotify. You can find some on YouTube. There's certain apps out there that help. But just for me, it works, the calming, and then taking really deep breaths, doing box breath type breathing, which maybe we can talk about in another podcast, is how to do certain calming breaths.
Yep.
And if I can sit quiet and I allow my thoughts to just kind of come up like bubbles, but I don't acknowledge them, eventually what happens is I drop into a sense of presence, a sense of peace. And for me personally, I can connect to spirit, and I get the divine guidance that I need to like make the best day possible. And it always is. I could have things that come up that are not preferred, like a nail in my tire or whatever, and I'm still able to look at like what was the lesson or the reasoning or why it needed to happen, versus the woe is me mindset. And it's just being consciously aware and mindful. And so that's my practice that I'm gonna start this week that I've done in the past that it's worked so well is starting that even if it's 15 minutes, I'd love an hour, but 15 minutes at least of mindfulness for me looks like meditation.
Yeah.
What would you do?
For me, I've actually already started it, and I've kind of fallen off a little bit, but for me, it's morning stretching, a little workout, and then on my drive when I'm coming in, I'm doing a rampage of appreciation. And it's just a lot of fun.
Gratitude.
Yeah, I mean, it puts you in a state of realizing that everything's working for our good, and when we tune ourselves to what's working rather than what's not, it just is very uplifting. So I usually do that, and then, doing breath work, when I get to work, and doing that class is fantastic. And then if I can, some yoga or whatever. But, there are a few in there that are really staple for me first thing in the morning. And I notice if I fall off, my day's not so great.
And you notice
but
how
it's
ours are so different, but we get the same outcome. And so I just want to encourage everyone. I don't want you to be like, oh, I need to go start meditating. I need to just do breath work today. Joining a class to learn how to do those things, if you don't know how, are obviously wonderful, helpful tools. But everyone, you know yourself. You know yourself well enough. If sitting on your front porch and drinking a cup of coffee and it's just quiet and still is what, gets you into a mindfulness mode, do that. If it's going on a walk, if it's reading a book, if it's going on a jog or an exercise, whatever drops you into that present moment of mindfulness is where you can start. And if you truly don't know where to start, drop a comment. If you're like, hey, I've tried a lot of things, I don't know what to do. That's honestly what we've created this community and the space here for at Massage Journey Wellness Center. We have a slew of different modalities because maybe one that works for her or works for me doesn't work for someone else. But I guarantee you that mindfulness is not exclusive. Everyone can be there. Everyone can be mindful. Everyone can experience this peace. In fact, that's, I think, where our bodies are supposed to live. Society says no, but we're supposed to live in this peaceful present moment.
Yeah.
So please, we're going to wrap it up, but please reach out to us, inquire about classes. We can do special pricing. We can work something out for you, because I think the more of us that can be in this peaceful practice, we're spreading love and stopping the chaos inside out, one person at a time. So
yeah, I agree. And
that's where I leave it.
The more of us that can be responsive and not reactive, the better we move through this, I think, personally. And, that's really what we want to create as a community, that we want to share and grow, and the kind of place that we want to live. So yeah.
Starts from within. Peaceful practice makes everything else easier. So just encourage everyone, including myself and you, and I'm supportive in everyone's growth. And maybe next week, if we remember, we can talk about how to slow down in those moments. So actually showing our audience some breathwork techniques and going a little deeper into what deep meditation looks like. Bye, guys.
Bye.